Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a good movie, man. It's a good installment in this franchise. It's out in theaters this weekend. It's a touch long with 2 hours and 25 minutes, but it goes by really quick. The pacing of this movie is very, very fast. Many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike, directed by Wes Ball. So, guys, if you saw the trailers for this, you kind of got an idea of what this is going to be about, kind of thing. It's awesome. It's breathtaking in its execution. You'll notice right away the computers have a better rendering of like the textures of the fur and the face. Like, it looks real. Like, there was a couple of times where I'm like, this looks real. I'm blown away here. The characters, you actually care about these characters. You get to learn about these characters. And that's something that Wes Ball does great, is that he takes time to establish who they are and what the stakes are. And he also does a great job of establishing the world now that they live in, letting you know that this is a long time after the events of Caesar. And I gotta say, it's a spectacle to see on the big screen. This is something where it's like, everybody thought that Doom Part 2, as awesome as it is, was going to be like, there's no way, Doom Part 2 has got to be best visual effects of the year, hands down, right, guys? I mean, when those worms came out, it was just like, wow. Yes, and indeed it was wow. But this Apes movie is a different type of wow. This is... This feels like they were going for the realism, and you totally buy into it. So, if you don't know, the new character in this is not Caesar's son or anything like that. There is a character named Proxima Caesar, played by Kevin Durant, who doesn't show up until like much later in the film, and normally that would be a bad thing. Oh, the bad guy doesn't show up until like the last 30 minutes. But the way that the story is crafted and told, it makes sense why he doesn't show up till later. And it's okay that he doesn't, because it's not really about him, right? There's a lot more of a sinister thing going on in the background. When I watched this, if you watched Apocalypto from Mel Gibson, that's what I got from this. It was very much like that. And I'm telling you that just so you know what kind of tone it is when you're getting into it. As I said, it's a touch long. It does take time in the middle for some character development. Raka, I think his name is there. You see on the far right, is a really interesting character. Freya Allen is May. Who plays Raka? Peter McCann. So there's voices in here, and you're like, they sound familiar. I don't know who they are, but it fits. And the expressions that they have, like Raka and Noah, Owen Teague, like it's good work, man. It's really good work, and I can't champion going to see it in the theater. Go see it on the big sound. The soundtrack for this is stunning. It immerses you into it. Like, this is a movie soundtrack where you're just like, okay, it's got hints of kind of like that whistling sound that you hear in like War of the Planet of the Apes. And speaking of which, this movie does a fantastic job of paying homage to the other Apes movies, where if you're caught up in the lore of it all, you'll know where the nods to Caesar are and stuff like that. And then in War of the Planet of the Apes, there's like a human relationship there that they have with a young girl. If you know that kind of thing, it ties into those themes, which I really liked. So, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, thumbs up in my book. As I said in my straight out of the theater reaction, it's going to be in contention. for one of the best movies of the year. Now, I still think right now Dune Part 2 is the better movie, but it's easily number 2. Like it's very close behind. Like there is a conversation to be had. Is it a better movie? Let's go over to my score sheet and put in some preliminary numbers here. And then we'll go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying. So, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. Acting. Guys, I'm going to give this a full 2. And you'll know why when you see the movie. Because it's just not Noah's character. It's the girl there. It's Raqqa. And even when Kevin Durand shows up, it's like, wow. And what I'm excited about is that they're going to release a version of this movie where you actually get to see the actors with their motion capture stuff on doing the scenes. That's what I want to see. And the fact that they did that pays off in the way that this comes out. Like the execution of the technical stuff is fantastic. So I'll give directing a full point based on that. Execution of the story, I'll give an extra point. Now, because as I said, there is some pacing issues there perhaps in the middle that some people will be like, I don't know if I like this, but it takes time to breathe. And I think upon a second viewing, you will appreciate those scenes a lot more because those scenes help build the world up and set things up for like in your head where it's like, well, if that happened, what else happened, right? And it kind of leaves the door open, perhaps, more to happen within this new setting that the Apes movies will be moving in towards. So for that, I also give the story a full 1.5. Cinematography, guys, absolutely breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. I'll give that a full point. And I'm going to give the score a full point, too. This is the kind of soundtrack where you would be like, I want to own that soundtrack. I want to own it. I totally listen to this soundtrack just in the background one day. That's how good it is. So that is my early rankings for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We're sitting out around a 7 out of 10 right now. Let's go over to the tomato meter and see what people are saying because I am very curious. As of right now, guys, 109 reviews, 83%. It is certified fresh. Yes, it totally is, and it's worth it. It's totally worth it. From West Ball, May 10th, guys. Go see. I would be tempted to go see this in the IMAX. But the early fan screening event that they had for us was not in the IMAX. I totally expect the audience numbers to be very similar within the same range because it's like Avatar. It's like you'll just come out of this going, I'm just wow, I'm bamboozled. I gotta watch this movie again. Okay, so let's take a look at Richard Krause. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is jam-packed with big ideas and even bigger action scenes, but feels intimate because of its emotional content. Yeah, because you care about the characters. Noah's character is very attached to the planet, to Earth. So I am. Like if you believe in Gaia theory and stuff like that, being with animals, right? And I guess I agree with that. Somebody here says spectacularly pointless. Now don't see. Now that's just. Why do you need a quote like that? Give us a little bit more depth. Jeremy Johns didn't like it? What? When the last act, the big conflict, the master plan is going down, it was entertaining, but leading up to it was kind of a snooze. So there you go. From a trusted reviewer, Jeremy Johns, saying, remember I said that there were some issues with the pacing? That didn't work for some people, but it did for me. It did for me. Because it was kind of like, I want to figure out what's going on in this universe, right? New York Post, as much as Kingdom borrows from its 1968 film, Ball has also clearly influenced by what's come since in the genre. Yes, you can tell that he definitely did his homework from the other three movies. Totally. I want one of those pendants. Yeah. San Francisco Chronicle didn't like it. Until this franchise stops mistaking its stone cold misanthropy for political virtue, this franchise. What are you talking about? Why are you. Yeah. So that guy's. Like, you scream like you're hurt politically, like you don't care about. What are you doing? Yeah. It doesn't sound like he's a movie fan. So this is why we look at these snapshot reviews, guys, is because we're trying to get a measure of the like a read of the room. 3C Films, we trust his opinions, don't we? A truly impressive and worthy follow-up to the last trilogy, rich with emotions, interesting characters, and very compelling story. I was fully immersed and in awe of all of it. And it said last trilogy. That's a good point there that I want to talk about too. The last. I would say this is going to be, obviously, because we're taking generations after the Caesar timeline. This is a good launching point to start a new trilogy. And it's very good at making you aware of that, right? Of like, okay, all of those other characters that we knew before, here's some nods to them. But this is a brand new story. And it's haunting where it's gonna where it's pointing towards, because it's kind of like, all right, there's a human there. She's talking. I thought the virus was gonna wipe them all out, like wipe us all out from talking. Why is that happening, right? So there's some very interesting questions in there that I hope they set up, and we'll explore more in the sequel to this. Alonso Duralde didn't like it. An intermittently entertaining but ultimately fruitless exercise in franchise expansion. See, again, when you say something like that, it makes me feel like you've had this preconceived notion of what you thought the movie was supposed to be, right? And when it wasn't that, then you're like, meh, I don't want to watch it anymore. And it's like, I don't have time for that kind of stuff, guys. I'm sorry that I had to read your comment because of that. Is there anybody else here that I want to pull off and take a look at the reviews? I don't think so. I think we've covered it all. You got a good mix, right? Yeah, it's got to be in the top 5 interesting movies of the year for me right now, and it's sitting at probably the second. There's a lot to explore. There totally is. And if I were to be writing the sequel, I know where I would be starting the second movie right up off the bat, right there, with that guy. Because there's something there that could happen, that might have happened, that doesn't really fully get explained in this movie, but they've left the door open for more. I'll talk spoilers a little bit towards after I wrap everything up. And it's not, as I said, this is not a movie where you can really spoil a whole lot of things. You know that they're going on a quest of some kind, right? You know they're looking for things, and there's some bad apes that are rounding people up, and very much like Apocalypto type style. So they find them. Do you think he gets defeated? Is that a spoiler? But what is he doing? Right? What's Proximus doing? It does pose some interesting questions. So if you haven't seen it, guys, I totally recommend that you go out and check it out, because it's a spectacle for sure. It's something that you'll be like, I'm glad that I went to the theater to see that movie, because this is why we go to movies. So we're wowed by it. Let's wrap up my score sheet, and let's see where I land for my final score here for watchability factor. If you like the other Apes movies, you want to check this out for sure. I would totally own this movie on 4K Blu-ray. I totally would. Yeah, so I'm going to give the watchability a full 2 points. 9 out of 10. Wow. Yeah, that's where I'm going to land. I feel good with that score. I'm higher than the critics. 9 out of 10 on the tomato meter. I'm much more higher. 9 out of 10. I feel good about that. And I'm acknowledging some of the story and pacing problems in the middle, but guys, the visual effects, the score, the sweeping cinematography in this, I can't champion it enough, guys. It's something that you got to go check out. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. All right. If you like talking about movies and stuff, guys, come join us here on Mirror Domains, because we do other things like take a look at, we looked at that new Superman suit. We do trailer reactions for Deadpool and Wolverine, Megalopolis, Quiet Place Day One, Acolyte trailer that just dropped. We do movie reviews for all the movies that come out in the theaters, Fall Guy, Tarot, Boy Kills World. We do series reactions for Fallout and Reacher. And of course, then we do movie news headlines throughout the week, where we talk about all the trending movie news headlines of the day. So if you like movies, you'll like it here on Mirror Domains. The visual effects made me think about that Tim Burton film where they put makeup and stuff on them. It's like, imagine if Tim Burton had the CGI technologies today to go back and make the movie now, because as it looks real, man. This looks like it's just makeup kind of thing, right? Which looks good on some of the characters, but like when the apes in the new movie are doing stuff, it's the way that the light shines off their fur kind of thing. The small screen here doesn't do it justice. When you see it on the big screen, it's like it feels like you can reach out and touch them. That's how good it's done. What's Proximus after? And if we've seen from the trailers that there's this big kind of ship, and they're like digging on the beach. There's like a bunker that they're trying to get into, like a fallout shelter kind of thing, and he thinks that there's like some kind of, I don't know if it's science in there that'll help him expand his brain, like make him become smarter, like knowledge, right? But there's also this storyline of kind of like there also could be weapons in there. And that's more sinister. Because if you give somebody like Proximus weapons, then he becomes much more lethal, right? Because apes just, while they talk and have domesticated animals so that they can ride it and such, and they've cultivated earth and stuff, for farming, they still haven't figured out all the nuances of the technology and stuff, right? So there's a much more sinister thing going on in the background, in the back of Proximus's mind, that I think some people would feel like doesn't get fully explored, perhaps. But as I said, if you watched Apocalypto, it's very much like that. So that's worthwhile seeing. And then, of course, the girl Nova that shows up in this. If you've never watched War of the Planet of the Apes, you know that young girl in that movie was called Nova. So any apes, any female humans that the apes come across, they all call her Nova. Like that's how they pay nods to the prequel, like the other three. That's how they do it. And then, of course, the whole question is, what's she up to, right? She's up to something. Do you trust her? Do you believe her? Why is she able to talk, and the others aren't? And there's a couple of scenes that, like, they showed it in the trailer, right? This scene where they get all the humans. They round up humans while they're drinking water, and they do a good job of making the humans feel like animals, like they don't have thought, like they're very instinctual. So when they're running scared and stuff, it's kind of like you feel like you could go up and talk to them and have a conversation, but they wouldn't understand a thing they're saying, right? They did a very good job of explaining that, which made it fascinating, at least for me. All right.